Echoes in the dark won't let me go. Faded from my mind, but it cuts my soul. Trying to spark a light, but the flames burn low. Faded in the smoke, lungs full, I choke. Step in the shadows, feel the cold breeze. Nothing ever quiet, just the rustling leaves. Lurking in the dark, but I'm ready to breathe. Chasing what's unseen, that's the life I lead. Thoughts in my head like they're trying to fight. Creeping in the silence, I'm ready for the night. Gripping on the mic, yeah, I'm holding tight. Burning all the bridges, but I'm looking for light. Whispers in the dark, they tell me stay bold. Flames on my tongue, but I'm out of control. Chasing after dreams, but they're starting to fold. Echoes in my veins, yeah, they're all I know. Echoes in the dark won't let me go. Faded from my mind, but it cuts my soul. Trying to spark a light, but the flames burn low. Faded in the smoke, lungs full, I choke. Vibe with the shadows, get lost in the glow. Everywhere I step, yeah, they know I won't slow. Walking through the storm, but I'm steady on the flow. Got my soul in the fire, let it all burn slow. Darkness in the rearview, but I'm running free. Torn between the past, but it won't define me. Echoes keep calling, but I'm fighting to be. Molding the shadows that were born in me. Whispers in the dark, they tell me stay bold. Flames on my tongue, but I'm out of control. Chasing after dreams, but they're starting to fold. Echoes in my veins, yeah, they're all I know.
Hello and welcome to What Goes Bump Tonight.
Your life after death. Yes.
Oh, what? Ooh, what the? Oh my god, am I actually moving right now?
Why should we be afraid of you?
Hello and welcome to What Goes Bump in the Night. My name is Riley Clark, and alongside me, as always, is
Trevor Jensen.
And today we have a crazy topic for y'all.
I think it is.
Before we get to that, we want to say, if you haven't yet and you're new here, please think about joining the night crew. Hang out with us tonight. Jump in the chat. Participate in the show because you are just as much a part of it as we are.
Much, certainly, most definitely. We love you guys. Everybody that's in the chat right now, adore you. Everybody else in Viewerland, we adore you as well.
Yes.
Thank you guys.
And Trevor, have you ever gotten a call that like you couldn't explain? Like there could have been someone on the other side, but maybe there wasn't.
You know, I want to say I've gotten a few of those, especially the very creepy ones where you get the breathing or you get the words that are very
slasher.
Very much so, the hash slinging slasher. But you can definitely attest to, like, I think a lot of people probably haven't really, like, I'm just going to go on a limb here and just like post this on the internet or just talk about it. But like, we've all gotten phone calls where it's like,
yeah. And it's just super,
what is that?
Super strange, right? And it's crazy that we're doing this topic today of talking to the dead from beyond on a phone call.
Boom.
But I don't really have like a catchphrase for this one yet, but
I don't either. I'm sorry, I came unprepared, ill-prepared.
I don't know what we would call this kind of a phantom phone
call. A phantom call is the best one I could think of too.
Yeah. But we actually kind of had experienced this before at the tattoo shop, remember?
A little bit, so yes, I would think so. I mean, shit, dude, like
we didn't, but like the tattoo shop,
yeah, like she,
honest to goodness, showed us the
she
video.
showed us very much so a very creepy voicemail as well. It was like, so she showed us two videos that we did not get a chance to obtain in time to put out in the video, but we can go ahead and talk about them really quick here because they definitely relate to what we're talking about tonight. But the first video was the voicemail that she got, and it was like 100% an old time like male voice that was basically like talking not to the tattoo shop, like somebody that would have been there beforehand in like say like the hotel or brothel times. And then not only that, right after that incident, they had the music just was playing like what, like Lil Peep or something, and then it just started playing like very much so old classical music,
jazz
specifically, over what it said it was playing. Very, very weird. Instance doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, and our experience or story of an experience, I guess you could say,
it is much so an experience.
It's more common, I guess, than we would really think. Maybe I wouldn't say common, but it happens more than you think it would. honestly.
Definitely does. I mean, like, I don't say it happens like, you know, like every like month or so, but like it seems like every 6 months to a year or so, I'll get like a weird phone call and I'll be like, what the fuck was that about?
The creepy confidential mom and dad's old cordless used to get weird calls like that, like a voice that
Mhm.
was trying to come through.
They're very much so used like spirit boxes. I'm agreeing with that one 100%.
Kind of like a spirit box. Yeah, I think that's, maybe what would be going
However
on.
you want to say like these signals are being transmitted, it's carrying some type of frequency that, like, if these are phone calls that are straight up like just like vocal like pronunciations from the dead as well,
Yeah.
then they're also
Well,
following that frequency line.
I think too, we also got to think about the phone itself. Like, think about this. Like when phones came around, it was a big deal to be able to talk to someone that was nowhere near you. So think about what that meant to a lot of people in their life, especially the older generations.
Very much so. I would agree with that.
Even now, like, people are so attached to their phones now, it's almost borderline like
Well,
a disease.
And if we like think about it in terms of like what did most people from like say the like I don't even know when phones were invented, but I'll just say the 60s to the 2000s era, like they were talking on the phone more so than texting. Like a lot of people text now, but that wasn't the case then. I think that's also very much so a testament to like we don't get a shit ton of phone calls that are phantom calls, but when you do, it's like maybe that spirit found a way. Like, I don't know how or what the reasoning could be, but maybe so.
Yeah, I mean, gosh,
This is a very fun topic that we can definitely sit here and just
and
talk
we'll dive
about.
into some of what we've got for research, and we'll just start there, I guess.
Might as well.
Phantom phone calls, voices from the beyond. Phantom phone calls, also known as ghost calls, death calls, or calls from the beyond, are among the most chilling and unexplainable paranormal occurrences. These mysterious phone calls often involve recipients answering their phones to hear static-filled lines, distorted voices, or even unmistakable words of deceased loved ones. In some cases, these calls appear to originate from disconnected or non-existent numbers, adding to the eerie nature of the phenomenon. Witnesses frequently describe an overwhelming sense of dread, curiosity, or even confront upon realizing who or what is on the other line. These experiences, spanning across decades and continents, continue to perplex skeptics and believers alike, raising unsettling questions of the afterlife, electronic disturbances, and the nature of reality itself.
Fuck yeah. I mean, let's just like take a second to also like, well, like when you're hearing that static, like that's exactly what we're using with those spirit boxes, like exactly how the dweebs just pointed out.
Or even just like think of it like the voice recorder. I'm specifically thinking about what me and Julia captured in Vampire and Bounty. The poorhouse.
The poorhouse, yeah. Words are so fucking hard. But dude, that makes me wonder, especially since like we can dissect that a little bit right now, because it's like you guys were standing next to a switchboard, an old school straight up switchboard
phone thing.
Yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, like you plug in the cords.
Couldn't tell you how it works, ladies and gentlemen. But
all I know is that I think that's how it works.
It moves calls to one call to the
yeah.
right
You call the operator plugs you into where it's going. Like they had a straight up one of those, and then to get that interference sound that you did, like think about it like this too,
and with Randy too,
and with Randy, yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. His camera having that like interference feedback thing, that was very interesting in its own right. So like if we take all that and like put it into like a good old pile of like jambalaya, I mean, think about it like this, dude. That room has something from the past that has to do with phones. Phones nowadays are still, if you ask me, giving us indications that they are capturing these spirits' voices, and or they're using them as the tools to try to contact us. Maybe because like certain people just are not using the tools that we use on investigations. So then, oh hey, I've got this bad boy right here. It works basically in the same aspect as the tools we use. That is perplexing to me, because that shows that like spirits aren't just bound by like whatever happened to them. Like they're intelligent as shit still, and they're using whatever means necessary to contact us back on the spiritual realm that is living. I don't know how to tell it. Words are so fucking hard.
We'll dive into it later. This phenomenon has been reported for over a century long. before the advent of caller ID, mobile phones, or call spoofing technology. I don't know if any of you all done that, but it's kind of fun. Suggests that whatever is happening is not merely the result of modern telecommunication glitches. Reports from the early 1900s describe eerie phone calls occurring on primitive switchboard systems.
Wow, we were just talking
where
about
operators and call recipients alike would hear whispers, distant voices, or conversations seemingly bleeding through from another realm. Unlike conventional phone pranks or mechanical malfunctions, many of these calls contain intelligible messages that were eerily personal or relevant to the recipient.
Explain that one.
Some researchers believe that these calls originate from the spirits of the deceased, who use electrical currents or residual energy to make contact with the living. Messages range from expressions of love and longing to dire warnings of impending danger, leading many to believe that the deceased attempt to intervene in earthly affairs through the phenomenon. In other instances, the call consists of nothing but silence, heavy breathing, or inexplicable static, invoking an unsettling sense of being watched or pursued by an unseen force.
Static
Now,
does that.
The static, like,
Static does that.
that's exactly what me and Julia captured
Yeah.
in that room. Like,
dude, it was a very much so static hum. And that is very much
and
so
it's
like
right by a phone operator, and like,
dude, that's what I'm
it's-
saying, bro. It gets into your brain and it adds that like it's that worm effect where it's like, what the fuck is going on? And then you start questioning everything because now it's like, this is not normal. I feel weird because that frequency is also like that high or that pitch or whatever it is that induces that feeling in you. And that's a real thing.
However, alternative theories exist. Some attribute phantom calls to psychological manifestations, particularly among grieving individuals who yearn for closure and thus subconsciously fabricate auditory experiences. Others argue that the phenomenon may be linked to quantum entanglement or time disorders, suggesting that these calls might be echoes from different points in time or
Aliens.
even altered dimensions. Additionally, electronic disturbances such as express lines or delayed transmissions could potentially explain some cases. Through this, fails to account for instances where the caller's phone number had been disconnected for years, or the voice on the other end mistakenly belonged to someone who had passed away. Regardless of explanation, these eerie calls continue to be reported by people across the world, leaving the question open. Are the dead reaching out, or is there something even more mysterious at play?
Ooh.
In its extensive exploration, we'll
delve into it.
We'll dive into this.
We've got some firsthand accounts coming up and stuff, but I do want to take a second to just like, what if, hear me out, these time slips could be like a thing, but I don't believe the whole like the signals being fucking sent are getting lost and then showing up. I don't believe that. I don't believe that one little bit. You can't tell me that I've gotten phone calls from like 1960. What? How? What? Stop. We're gonna pump the brakes on that one. Now a time slip, that would make more sense, but I would think that if somebody was talking to me, they'd have to be able to answer my questions at that point. Otherwise, I would just think that it's straight up a spirit that is just like talking into the ether and hoping somebody hears.
See, the thing is my brain wouldn't go right to that was a ghost. That's
no.
You
would just think that somebody butt dialed you and was talking through their pocket.
Yeah.
I mean, well, yeah, that's probably the first place I go to.
Okay, I worked in a call center. Really easy to fake a call.
Very much so.
You just dial a random number.
AI is a thing.
You're good.
You're good. You just hit go.
If they pick up, you don't say anything.
But in those weird instances though, where you get people that are like calling the loved ones, that's a little bit more suspect, where it's like, well, how the actual fuck did you know any of that? Unless you're doing some real deep dives. Or I do love what $1 billion Productions is saying, aliens. What if we're getting prank called by aliens?
Yeah, I mean, that would be a fun hobby for them.
Dude, I would think they're just driving by and they're like, it's like, it is so easy to prank these little fuckers. Like, let me just hit them up on the horn and just, hey, die. Like,
they're just
sketchy.
Trying to see if they can telecommunicate through phones.
Well, yeah, and then also like the aliens definitely created our phones. What we have in cell phone technology today is 100% backlog technology from whatever alien technology they got their hands on in like the 60s in Roswell, and now
Yeah,
we're seeing it
just
today.
think about the technology they had in '69 when they potentially landed on the moon, and the technology we have right now.
NASA says we couldn't do it, but you back engineer a spacecraft. I think you could do it. We're in so space land though.
Let's talk about some examples of what's happened.
That is the fun part of this. So firsthand accounts are always my favorite to talk about, and there are much so people on Reddit on these forums that will tell you their stories. But here are some of the more like prominent ones I would say that I found throughout the internet history. So throughout history, there have been numerous reports of phantom phone calls, many of which share disturbing similarities, which is very interesting if you ask me, because it's like if everybody's having these instances around the world too, why are they all the same? It's a little weird. So we're going to start off with the call from a departed mother, and this is from 1969. One of the most unsettling stories of a phantom phone call occurred in 1969 when a woman named Judy, residing in Chicago, began receiving strange, untraceable calls in the middle of the night. Each time she answered, there was only static, interspersed with a faint whispering voice that she struggled to understand. Initially, she dismissed the calls as a prank call or a fault in the telephone line. I would too.
Logical.
That's a very logical way to just, okay, weird, not that weird. However, as the calls continued, the whispers became clearer. This is weirder. If it's staying on a very consistent basis too, what the fuck? The one night she recognized the voice. It was her mother's. Judy's mother had passed away exactly 1 year earlier, and the realization made her blood run cold. The voice, though distant and distorted, seemed to repeat, Judy, Judy, I love you. That is so fucking tragic too, in its own right, where it's like, that's gut wrenching to just have to even like read that, but also like how beautiful in its own right to like be able to have that, where it's like, I
But
definitely believe in the
also
afterlife.
that whole thing.
The
let's talk
mental
about the
thing with
mental
grieving,
thing.
yes.
Also, I feel like that theory stays in the back of my head.
You can't
consistently.
you
with
yeah,
this.
you can't unsay that psychology plays weird in everybody else's brains, because we all have different synapses and firings and all that good stuff, and we're all made of different stews. But still, having consistent phone calls like that, then only to get clear like she's figuring it out, if this is her mother, which I don't want to say it's not, because I've never heard the phone calls, I've never heard any of that. I don't know if they've even been recorded, but regardless, fucking wild. So shaken but desperate for closure, she tried to speak back, pleading for a clearer message. But as soon as she did, the line would go dead. The calls continued for a few nights, and then they abruptly stopped. A technician was called to investigate the phone line, but there was no records of incoming calls at the reported times. Which, what?
Still makes me think mental.
Oh yeah, actually, when you do think about it in that aspect, but if there was actual evidence of the phone call happening and then you pick it up and that shit's really happening,
Yeah.
that's crazy. So even more disturbing, her mother's old number had been deactivated for over a year, making it impossible for anybody to be calling from it. Weird, interesting.
69, did they have caller ID?
I doubt it. It's probably on the wall and still rotary style, like.
Anybody from the 70s? Let us know.
That's what I'm saying. Then we can go back even a little bit farther to 1925, where this one is like a premonition, getting a warning of a phone call, of warning of a train
that
wreck.
doesn't make me think mental.
The premonition style stuff does not make me
That's a
think
little
mental.
weirder to me.
Yeah, where it's like, hey dog, you're about to be in a train accident. Don't get on that train. Don't worry, I'm a 95 baby. I see you, chat. We all in that age range, the fun range. So in 1925, a railway worker Thomas Hewitt, reported a chilling experience after receiving a phone call from his best friend George, who had died in a tragic train accident a week earlier. How ironic that the guy is a trainway worker and his friend died in a train wreck. Little ominous. Yay! So the call came late at night. Thomas, half asleep, answered to hear George's unmistakable voice, though it sounded strained and distant. You do this one.
Don't go to work tomorrow.
There's more.
Oh, that is it. The train is going to the rail. Please listen to me.
Fearing it was a cruel joke, Thomas hesitated, but ultimately decided to stay home the next day. That very morning, a train derailed at the exact location where George had died, killing several workers. Shaken, Thomas attempted to call George's number, only to be met with an operator message stating that the line had been disconnected since his death. Had George managed to make one final call before he saved his friend? That one is like, wait a minute. What the fuck is that? I believe that one actually more than I believe the mother story. As terrible as that is, because the mother story is tragic, and if that's the truth too, like, that's beautiful. But having somebody call you with a premonition, basically, of like, hey, you will die tomorrow, but I'm trying to save you, and then you listen to it, and then that actual occurrence happens. How do you write that off? You know what I mean? Like, how does one just go, all right, touche, that was just my luck? What, bro? You just got told.
Yeah. Interesting. That is really
That is
interesting,
divine. Yeah,
'cause
what Butter
that's
says
a
too.
long
It's
time
divine
ago.
intervention too, dude.
1925. That's an
Yeah,
old
that's still
story.
in retrospect though. It's not that long. Like, you know what I mean? Like, in all realities and like hundreds and hundreds of years, like 1925 really isn't that long ago.
I don't know. This one, the voicemail from a deceased husband in 2008. Frank Jones, a retired teacher, lost his wife Mary in 2008 after a long battle with cancer. Several months after her passing, he received a voicemail that sent shivers down his spine. It was Mary's voice. The message was short but unmistakable. "I'm okay, Frankie. I love you."
Damn.
Frankie immediately checked his phone records, but there was no incoming calls listed at the time the voicemail was received. Even stranger, Mary's phone had been deactivated after her passing, yet the message was there, leaving Frank with more questions than answers. Paranormal investigators suggested that this was an example of electronic voice phenomenon where spirits manipulate electrical devices to communicate.
I think it is. If these people aren't crazy, it's hard. It's so hard to think, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
the voicemail part is weird, where a voicemail just appears on your phone and your
I've
phone
had
never
that happen
rang.
too. I've 100% had that happen. But the voicemails were real voicemails.
But companies can pay to have that done too. When I worked at Benton, like,
Oh, that's true.
we did that. Like,
We did that.
we would send people voicemails and it would never ring.
But the thought of like literally having your phone be the conduit for an electronic voice phenomena, I would think that happens. Because like, if you think your TV could happen, like if you have static going on your TV, you could easily have a voice or hear something come through there. It's just something to do with that static frequency that I think that it manipulates everything around it to like cause whatever energy they use to also be able to do that, or they just have the energy to manipulate that frequency.
I feel like it's somewhat the same thing, like when we record a video and we don't hear something that's caught on the camera.
That's a good point too. Why do we catch things that aren't there to us, like perceivably with our very bare ears, but you go back and you listen to it and it is so much so there.
My Xbox has turned on
That stuff too.
creepy.
Having my TV at night when I go to bed and I have certain type of dreams, my TV will turn on in the middle of the night and it'll flash my like RGB colors on the back of it, and then they'll turn off. But the TV itself won't turn on. But whatever's happening is the power to the TV is turning on and giving the RGB enough power to light. Don't know what that is either. I just write it off as fucking weird.
Possible explanations for phantom calls. While skeptics attempt to explain phantom calls through logical means, no
Have to.
single theory accounts for all reported experiences. Number one, residual energy and electric voice phenomenons. Once widely accepted one wildly
Once.
acceptable paranormal theory is that spirits manipulate electrical frequencies to communicate. Electric voice phenomenon, or EVPs, a well-documented occurrence where voices of the deceased are captured in white noise or electronic recordings, is often cited as evidence of this form of interaction. Many paranormal investigators believe that spirits can use electrical magnetic energy to influence telephone signals, creating audible words, whispers, or even full sentences. Numerous EVP experiments have captured voices answering direct questions, leaving cryptic messages, or even responding in languages unknown to the investigator. Similarly, in a case of phantom phone calls, the disembodied voices may be using the phone's electronical frequencies as a medium to reach out.
Dude.
Some researchers theorizes that these calls may occur because spirits are drawn to the emotional energy of their loved ones, utilizing residual energy imprinted on objects or locations they were once connected to. Others suggest that the signals are echoes from the past, a form of residual haunting imprinted to electrical devices reactivating under certain conditions.
Oh, dude, hold up. I love this because exactly what those dweebs said. The one time we had an electrical interference in the podcast form while we've been recording, out of everything that we've fucked up personally with the whole like 2 mixed boards going from transitioning from that, actually 3 now, but like the only time we've ever had interference was when the first time I talked about my mom on this podcast was, and it was very much so raw and real still, where it was like I'm still dealing with it and I'm getting like not getting over it,
You
but
never
coming
talked
to terms.
about it publicly ever before.
No, never. And it was like it very much so was a real and raw like thing to talk about for me still at the time too. So then to have that happen and not see a single thing on our end while we were recording, and then have it come up afterwards in the edit where it just that exact section and that only that section out of the 200 plus episodes we've done now has ever had that.
I think it's 255.
Yeah, we're up there now for sure in episodes, but it is extremely like that resonates with me so hard where it's like it's something that triggers that, you know what I mean? Like for me to podcast, like this is a great medium for me to like let out like any emotions, or like this is like the extension of like what I've always felt like that I needed for a creative outlet. Like I'll just be so forward with that one because this is the most fun that I ever have on a Wednesday night. I'll be so honest. It's so fun to hang out with you guys and talk paranormal stuff. But then it's like to have that resonate with like something emotionally that happened in my life that was very, very much so a turning point for me. It's like, what you can't explain that. You can't. That is a phenomena that we are capturing and seeing in real time. Like 100% is. It just is. But we're going to get into the skeptic side of things where people are going to say this and that and the hooey.
Yeah, believe what you want to believe.
Believe what you want. We will always say that too.
Modern times, reports of paranormal interactions have experienced beyond traditional phone lists to include digital messages, voicemails, and even text messages, further supporting the idea that spirits may be evolving with technology to continue making contact.
Especially as it gets better and better and easier to use.
I didn't even think about that.
Dude,
phantom text? That's creepy as
that's
fuck.
what I'm saying. Like I think we're going to start seeing more of that type of encounter or like that type of phenomena too, because it's these are only getting better. These are only getting easier to use. They're only getting more streamlined. I really do think that if we start seeing phantom phone calls more often, phantom texts, like it's literally because they're just easier to use.
Telephones as electrical devices may serve as conduits for spirits attempting to reach loved ones utilizing residual energy left behind by their consciousness. Some paranormal researchers theorizes that spirits are naturally drawn to technology due to its ability to transmit signals across vast distances, making phones an ideal medium for communication. Reports of static-laden voices, distorted whispers, and even direct, clear speech coming through phone lines may have led investigators to believe that spirits manipulate electrical magnetic fields to interact with the living.
I would think too, you know what I mean? Like with all of the towers that we have everywhere and how they project the signals.
Think about all the sensors that are on here. So his iPhone Pro Max 15, whatever.
Hmm.
It has a LiDAR radar in it.
It does.
It has a Bluetooth signal, Wi-Fi, cellular, all those. Those are all electrical signals being out there.
That's insane. Oh, even what Jess said after her friend Sam passed away. Like people were getting messages. I hear accounts of that a lot too, where people are getting like messages on like social media accounts that nobody else should have access to at the time. And it's like, you know, just like a everyday type of message. Like, you know what I mean? Like nothing's weird about it, but they're not with us anymore.
That's
How
that's
do you
creepy.
explain those?
Creepy.
You can't. I don't think it's like a time bomb message where they just sent it and it didn't send until fucking
Imagine getting a
15
you
days
up
later.
text from a ghost and
A you up text? Oh God. Terrible.
that's what you're here for. Bad jokes.
Terrible.
All right. Furthermore, many cases involve spirits seemingly calling from disconnected numbers or from lines that have been long out of service, suggesting that the entities are not bound by the physical constraints of human connection. Certain patterns also emerge in reported cases, such as spirits reaching out on an anniversary of a death
That's
or a
interesting.
significant date, hitting at a purposeful attempt to contact rather than random interference. In recent years, with the advent of digital technology, there have been instances of phantom messages appearing in text form, voicemails from deceased individuals, and inexplicable missed calls demonstrating that the spirits are indeed reaching out. They may be involving alongside the technology. So it also could be time slips or
The
dimensional
time
overlaps.
slip is fun. That one's really fun because like that's the other theory too with the paranormal is like we're not just having these encounters with like spirits per se. It's like the veil is loosened, so when we look into the veil, they're looking right back at us, and whatever reaction that you see is their reaction to you as well. So they think they're seeing ghosts because we look like alien ghosts to them, but that's straight up them seeing us seeing them. It's like the abyss staring back into you, which that could just be a form of a
I'll say,
time slip.
what's that movie that has that scene in it where they're sitting at the
Oh,
table?
I know exactly the one you're talking
Is it
about.
Strangers or Neighbors?
That's gonna bother me. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, dude. I know
Anyways,
the
but
one
there's
you're
a
talking about.
movie that has this exact
The
scenario.
exact scene.
Like, dude walks into his house and there's a family sitting at the dining room table eating a Thanksgiving dinner,
And they all look at him.
and they all look at him, and he looks at them, and then they just fade away.
And then and it flips back to like his perception of like the room that is now empty. And it's like, what? Wait a minute. Hold the fucking phone. But I mean, the time slip theory is really fun. So like some researchers suggest that time is not as linear as we perceive it, which I don't think it is either. It is a man-made construct. It is a fucking random spattering of what it wants to be.
The only thing that tells us time is the sun.
These are completely fucking phony. Like whatever you see at time, it's not
Yeah,
real.
I know, because I've time traveled.
100% I've time traveled like 6 times last month. So phantom phone calls may be the instance of a time slip, when events from different moments in time momentarily overlap, allowing voices from the past or the future to bleed through into the present. The theory posts that under certain conditions, perhaps triggered by high electromagnetic activity, heightened emotional states, a death would trigger an emotional state, or specific geographic locations, which we haven't even really touched on, like the ley lines, which I think do play a factor into paranormal activity, because ley lines 100% just generate their
Strange,
own
you ever been
electricity.
to a real one?
That's I know.
When a ball rolls uphill.
Then you know something fucking wrong. So like those locations like may be where the time is momentarily folding into itself.
Paper theory.
Yes, I was gonna say, Ghost Dog, if you're out there, we love you. It's literally
Yeah,
the theory that you posed for us so long
Theory
ago.
still blows our minds.
It's still if you fold a dimension into itself over 100 times and you poke something through it, everything sees it at the same time, but they all perceive it differently. Burning house
good.
theory.
Me and my girlfriend actually talk about this all the time, about how fast time seems to be moving the last few years.
It really does
And
fly.
for some reason, we always come to we're just getting old.
I don't think that's really what be happening.
Time
now.
flies when you're getting old, is what they say.
They're like somewhat like manipulating the time of the day every day. They're just like shaving off seconds until it's like a minute or two, and now we're like 30 days are off the year and they're like, fuck these people, man. We're going to get our money from them quicker and we're going to tell them it's been a year and it's not been a year. Maybe, I don't know.
Because we just live in a dome.
We're in a
Controlled by
stimulation.
LEDs. The sun's not real.
Oh, God. It's so
It's
funny.
the Truman Show. It really
It is
is.
the Truman Show. So there are reports that exist of individuals receiving calls from people who had not yet died but later perished, suggesting a bizarre form of, I guess, precognition, which is what we were talking about earlier. But like the one that we saw were 100% the aftercognition from the dead, I guess is what you could call that,
Yep.
which is still bizarre in its own right.
What's happening, Ernie?
Woo, POV in the house.
Oh,
click the wrong one. If you haven't yet, check out POV Paranormal. They know what they're doing. Love you guys. So, with all this, there are instances of even like people hearing conversations that appear to be taking place in another era, which that to me would make sense to be a time slip. But
I think of the time that I heard people arguing in my parents' room. And I got
yeah, see, that could be a
work.
time slip
That could have
too.
been a time. It may not have been. Well, I guess it would be still time slip paranormal. Let us know in the chat.
Oh my gosh, yes, time slip paranormal indeed.
Is a time slip paranormal? I need to know.
Words are hard, but also, what do you think? Also, we're doing fantastic, Ernie. We love you, buddy. So, if these old-fashioned conversations that you're hearing are just straight up, like these time slips, I mean, then we're talking like, is residual energies just time slips? Like, is that what that is then? Which I don't know. So this idea of time being fluid more so than linear and overlapping forces aligning in the theory of quantum physics, I like that theory. I think quantum physics plays a lot more into the realm of like what we're seeing in the spiritual side of things too, where it's crossing into our times, or not our times, but like our instances of seeing it, where there's got to be some type of reason why we just haven't figured it out. So parallel timelines, interdimensional interference, those are posed as well. I guess you could think like interactions where it's like just a moment basically, instead of these like many weeks of getting a phone call every day or every time. So you know what I mean?
I don't think a time slip would. A time slip's gonna be.
Yeah, I think it's just an instant.
It's gonna be so fast that you don't even realize it happened sometimes.
I don't think the instances of it happening like this week, this day, this time for months is necessarily time slipping. I don't think that's what it is. I do like this theory a lot, but I also don't put my whole like chicken basket with these eggs.
Just chicken basket eggs.
Chicken basket with the eggs, I guess. So, I mean, if it can fold upon itself, these calls may not be spirits reaching out, but rather moments from another era momentarily interacting with our own, I mean. This could mean that the voices that we heard in the phantom calls and messages are from deceased, but rather echoes, are not from deceased, but rather echoes from conversations from different points in history or even the future. Which, if it's history, tell me the lottery numbers. That's bullshit. Like, can we just get some cool stuff to talk about? And I get that phone call and I'm like, I'll just play these numbers. Whatever, cool. Now I'm a millionaire. Thanks, guys. But some theorists propose that strong emotional events such as death, trauma, or significant personal experiences might act as a catalyst for these temporal overlaps, allowing fragments from the past or the future to bleed into the present. Which, I mean, I think that can play a very much so like reason.
We gotta
into
talk
it.
about this.
Oh,
so for you that will be listening on the podcast, Ernie says, bro, we had something happen at Penhurst where Brian's phone was in his hand with the live stream and had a camera in the other hand. A text message goes to Jamie's phone that says hi.
It's literally what we are talking about right now. And that is fucking crazy. Because both hands are tied up. The one hand is live on a stream. You can't go off of the stream without it ending and send text messages. You just can't do that.
$1 billion productions. What do you guys think about the Miami aliens from a couple years ago? I have no idea about any of that.
I'm half and half on it.
I remember when it happened, but I don't know.
People have since blown it apart and been like, it's all hung kung fooey, but also
should we cover that next week? Is that what we should do?
The Miami aliens. I don't think that's a bad topic to cover. I think it's another fun one. But yeah, I think that there's something that happened, but like nobody wants to tell us really what did happen. And Ernie, is this live stream available to like go check out somewhere? Because if it is, throw that up in the chat so people can go check it out. Because holy shit, that sounds like a wild night just from that one little thing, which once again, bizarre manipulation of a piece of your equipment that nobody can explain. It shouldn't be used like that, especially if you're live. Nope, no idea. Nope.
All right, now let's do some craziness here.
Y'all want to see some cool shit?
We're gonna show you like examples we've found on YouTube,
Check out their TikTok.
and they're crazy. So get this going here.
Will somebody in the chat please tell us if you hear audio? Because sometimes this is stupid.
Yeah. Let us know if the audio is not working, because it'll be working for us.
Because this isn't definitely an audio clip. No audio. All right, hold up. We'll fix it. Thank you, dweebs.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's like it makes you do it twice in order to be able to hear it. It's not gonna want you to do a feed file. Oh, that's why. Yep, now you're good. I swear we've done this a few times.
No, StreamYard, they changed
Change, yeah, they changed it. All right, there should be 100% audio.
In April of 2011, a
We'll shut up
YouTube user
now.
uploaded a recording of a voicemail she received. From the description, we learn that her grandfather died on December the 23rd, 2010. The voicemail was received in March, and the user claimed that her phone only rang once before the voicemail was recorded. What she heard on the voicemail was chilling. The white noise in the background is broken by the faint whisper of the word grandpa.
Saved message. Saved message.
So that is one instance that I found of a phantom call on a voicemail where, I mean, yes, you can say somebody just called and left a random voicemail to be creepy, but in the instances that we are talking about, if this is what people are experiencing, this is bizarre. Now, the next one we have to share with you is also just as bizarre, but also there's a little bit of a lead into this story as well.
In 2006, a well-known Chilean foundation witnessed one of the most unforgettable events that have ever occurred in that country. Something that even went viral despite of the year. It was shown all over the news, and both the date of the call and the death of the person you will know was confirmed. You see, the Fundación Niño y Patria is a private institution that, according to its website, seeks to prevent and protect children and adolescents at social risk.
Hell yeah.
They generally call people's homes in order to find donors that would help with maintaining the foundation. This is how, one night, a housewife receives a seemingly programmed call. The call center operator informs the woman that earlier in the morning, she spoke to a man named Gonzalo. After explaining everything about the foundation, the operator tells her that the man asked her to reschedule the call for that same night, since his wife could be of better service to her. Upon hearing all of this, the housewife replies, absolutely dumbfounded, that it is impossible for her to have spoken with Don Gonzalo, since her husband had died 14 months ago. Listen attentively to the recording.
This is crazy.
¿Aló? Hola, buenas noches. Buenas noches. ¿Con la señora de Don Gonzalo? Sí. Buenas noches, mi nombre es Mildred Bustos, soy voluntaria de Fundación Niño y Patria. Ya. No sé si Don Gonzalo habrá conversado con usted, señora. Don Gonzalo ya está fallecido. ¿Cómo está fallecido? Sí, mi esposo falleció. Ya, sí. 14 meses ya. ¿Y cómo yo hablé con él? ¿No lo mejor será su hijo? No, pero que aquí no hay ningún hijo conmigo en este momento. ¿Verdad? ¿De verdad? ¿Y con quién hablé? Estoy llamando al 857. Sí. ¿Ya? Sí. ¿Y usted no estuvo en todo el día, señora? En todo el día. ¿Y no había nadie? No. Entonces yo hablé con él hoy día. Ojalá que a mí me conteste el teléfono mi viejito algún día. Señora, ¿me está hablando en serio? ¿Cuál es su nombre? Estoy hablando María Isabel Rodríguez Rojas. Señora María Isabel, yo hablé con don Gonzalo. Ya. Me imagino que... Me está hablando en serio, ¿verdad? Y él me dijo que la que tomaba las decisiones en la casa era usted. Exactamente. Que usted decidía si era socia de nuestra red.
Wowza.
After this occurrence was discovered, the operator asked the organization to review the calls made that day to confirm the information. This is exactly how the call made by the operator that day was discovered.
I have full body chills right
Dude,
now.
it's crazy.
¿Hello?
Sí,
Hola, buenas
¿Sí?
tardes.
buenas tardes.
I
Mi
get it
nombre es
gives me
Milda
chills too.
Bustos y soy voluntaria de Fundación Niño y Patria. ¿Con quién tengo el gusto?
Gonzalo Vargas.
Don Gonzalo, ¿cómo está?
Gonzalo Vargas.
Sí, sí.
What?
Resfriada. Don Gonzalo, ¿se nota?
Cuénteme.
Don Gonzalo, ¿usted conoce Fundación Niño y Patria?
Dude, he said he was sick.
Yeah.
¿Podemos contar con su ayuda?
Deje conversarla con mi señora y
¿A qué hora lo puedo llamar, don Gonzalo?
tráeme la tardecita, como a las después de las 6.
Después de las 6.
Sí.
Muy amable, don Gonzalo.
¿Cómo no?
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego.
That's insane.
The foundation decided to contact the owner of the house and ask her if she recognized the voice that had answered the call to her home that morning. Between despairing sobs, the woman replies that she does recognize that voice. As I told you a few minutes ago, this turned into a memorable event.
Yes, it did.
The media went to this woman's house and even confirmed the
And then
death of her
it
husband.
turned into a whole media circus. And that leads into the next one that we have for you, which is a lot of the same thing, but this is a little bit more of the eerier kind, where it's like more mortician based and more like it's bizarre.
Unanswered questions after a 911 call in Pueblo from a funeral home and cemetery. August 11th, just before 3:30 in the morning, the police department communications center got a call that they refer to as abandoned, meaning the other person hung up. So they called back, got an answer, and heard mostly static.
But
Hello?
An officer was sent out to check out the funeral home and cemetery and says it was locked up and dark with no one in sight. You can hear the full 911 call in the CBS Denver article.
bizarre. And that's just a few instances that I could find really fast on YouTube, because there's a lot of like other accounts, but they're just story based. But like what? What?
Yeah.
I don't understand. You know what I mean? Like the first one you could say is like just a prank call, but the other two, the whole fact that it was a foundation being called.
I wonder if that happens more than we think.
I know.
Like especially 911.
It has to. Like there has to be a shit ton of calls that go to these operators that are doing the 911 operator stuff, and it probably goes on record and then just gets filed away. Who are you going to tell? Why are you going to go out and tell everybody? There's no point for it. At least for them, there's not at all.
Yeah.
There's
You
no
always-
point.
You always got the whole, if I tell anyone, they're going to think I'm crazy.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like,
Especially if you don't have it recorded, but even then you'd be like, I don't know, it's weird. It's probably just a
an anomaly.
fake phone call. It just spoofed the number or whatever. But
there not many normal people are going to just want to do that, I would say. And like I'm gonna go on a limb and say like probably like a very select few are even able to spoof numbers or do the things that they're
pretty easy.
seeing.
You just get an app.
Is it that easy?
Yeah,
No way.
it's that easy.
Back in the day when I used to try to look it up, it wasn't just star 69. You had to do some wild shit.
Pretty sure it's just an app.
That's insanity. Well, if that's the case, then it changes the whole game. But regardless, these premonitions, this like Gonzalez Vargas like whole situation,
That one's
that's
really
wild.
weird.
The fact that they have the audio from him calling in the morning or getting called in the morning, and then literally a full-blown conversation, and then his wife going, "No, he's been gone for 14 months." No, I just had a full-blown conversation with a man that said that was him. And then for her to go, I've
Butter
heard him.
says, I just watched something recently of a man who received a call from a mysterious caller who was warning him about a UFO sighting his uncle witnessed. It's incredibly weird. What's up, G bro?
Oh, dude, that's the other thing that we could probably like kind of touch on here too, is like when you do get these premonition like phone calls or text messages, how often are you to think that that's just bullshit? Like, I'm just gonna write this one off and just
Probably 99% of the time for me.
That's what I'm saying. But then, like I've gotten like weird text messages, very cryptic ones from numbers that I don't know, that are like, like, make sure you look up in the sky tonight, like type shit. And I know that's weird, but it's like, it's never needed to come out in conversation until just now. It's like, why would I get a text like that? And then for this UFO phenomena, Thelio, to be like, hey, this is a warning, basically. I think we're living in wild times where like aliens could be here any day. We could be seeing a mass invasion within the month. Who knows?
We always could be.
That's the we live on the knife's edge.
We still never got a real conclusion of, the drones of New Jersey. Still don't know the answer to that.
That's still happening. Like, that is still just a thing. Don't know what that is.
If you look up Sudbrick phone calls, it's very weird.
I know all about these.
A very good prank caller or someone who is a Men in Black warning him.
Yes, 1 billion %. The Sudbrink phone call, like, actually, just type in the Sudbrink phone calls right now. You can pull them up because they're actual phone calls, and then I can tell you a little bit about it right now. So this man, I don't remember where he's from, but he was basically being harassed by what they believe to be an alien, basically like contacting him for whatever reason it was, and like it would repeat the same sentences over and over and over again to him, asking him if he's there, where he is, and stuff like this. It's so bizarre.
It looks like it's really
It didn't
long.
share the audio.
Gosh, see?
I got you though. I caught it before it happened.
This is what we're talking about sometimes. Technology just...
Yeah. So Gary Sudbrink, this is the story of Gary Sudbrink, where he was getting alien fucking phone calls.
A simple phone call. We get them every day, right? But in 1993, a series of...
I'm going to
skip to the phone call parts.
In between, go subscribe.
In between, go subscribe.
So you can come back to this full video, of course.
Yeah. Do you want to speak to him? Yeah, who's this? Steven? Are you playing games with me or what? Huh?
Playing games.
Steven, if you're playing games, I'm going to kick your ass. So how long are you going to be back from Texas? Huh?
He's in the military. Nobody knows that he's in Texas. He's not supposed to be there.
Idiot. You pissed me off.
Steven is his brother.
Jerk. I'm going to get you on. Let's see what it says. Review. One new call out of area. Is Steven out of the area? Going to be back from Texas. Wait, say that again? You'll be impersonated by the other voice. Wait, hold on. Is Steven out of the calling area or what?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean you don't know? He's in Queens. I don't know.
Who are you talking to?
Hello?
Hello?
Here's Gary's Sudbrink there.
Interesting.
And so there's like a very much so, long account of this voice speaking to Gary Sudbrink and telling him information that nobody else should really know other than him and his family. And it's not his brother Steven, and they don't know who it is. And he, like I said, he's in the military, so like if they find out he's been like going not AWOL, but like not going where he's supposed to be going, he could get into a lot of trouble. So it's a very interesting story. I just heard about this not that long ago.
I've never heard of this.
It's fascinating. I don't know if this is like an alien encounter though, for real, or if this is somebody that just is like really wanting to fuck with him. Because like you could make the argument here that is just a voice changer.
Let's see. Mel says, you can draw a text message on iPhone. I had pulled my finger out of my pocket, and on that draw to text, it said, "I miss you," in my dead friend's handwriting. Oh, I remember this, Mel.
Oh, yeah. I remember Riley telling me about this too, and I lost my mind because it's like, how? Once again, like, you lost a dear friend. You are probably one that would be contacted in a situation where it's like, I want to use this conduit here that you have in your pocket to contact you. And then for what it's said to, and especially to be in her handwriting.
That's the only time Erica's done things either.
Yeah, and it was on her birthday. Once again, we just talked about how it's like certain what do you call them? Dates, like meaningful dates
just before the wedding too.
Yeah, insane. And it's I don't think it's just coincidence. I don't think it's just a happenstance. This is really happening because it's real. Like this stuff is real. Like the phantom phone calls, I don't think all of them are real, but I think in instances of this are 100%.
Oh yeah, grief, just all emotions.
Grief
just
does
emotions
open the door.
in general. Open the door to paranormal experiences.
Well, and think about it in like, if we think about it in a spiritual sense too, where it's like if you look at your emotions as energy, happy energy is probably like a high resonating, like high frequency where they're probably going to be able to utilize it more often. Low negative energies, probably not as easy to use because it's low energy. You know what I mean? But grief is its own whale where it's like a very much so strong emotion. I don't know what you can classify that as because it's not high, it's not low, it's strong. Maybe this does open the door for a lot of events to happen around you at that point, but maybe you're not in the right mind frame to pay attention and see them happening. And then it's just like you need that like very much so direct call to get the sign. It's very, I don't know. It's one of these things where I really do believe it's happening, though.
This is a strange, unusual topic. We just randomly literally came up with this yesterday.
He just texted me and was like, yo, this is a cool one. And I was like, yes, it is, dude.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed this topic. We'll try to keep coming up with these wild, obscure topics that no one really ever talks about anymore and continue to dive into more paranormal stuff.
Have our open dialogues because it is the most fun to talk to you guys,
it's
too.
It's getting warmer. So hopefully we'll be out investigating.
Hopefully.
And working on some projects that we've had planned.
I'm getting cabin fever.
Yeah, getting cabin fever. Got to get out.
I got to go hunting.
We're itching. We're itching.
God.
Well, if you haven't yet, please
like and subscribe.
Subscribe.
Pretty please.
Helps the channel grow. Helps more people see us.
Woo.
Helps us get to 1,000 subscribers. So
to go get wet and cold.
We can jump in cold water. Quicker you do it, the more it's actually a polar plunge.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like -degree water right now.
It's snowing outside.
It might actually warm up enough to where it's like 20-degree water when we got to jump in it. That'll be on you guys.
It's still ice right now.
There's still ice. I'll have to have Riley literally drag me by my feet out of that bitch because I'm not gonna be able to move.
Well, with that being said, folks, we absolutely love you, and remember, keep your ears and eyes open for really goes
bump in the night. We love you guys. You're the best.